Good day, Philippines. Hello, Region 1. Aloha, San Carlinian learners. Airing live from the mango bamboo capital of the Philippines, San Carlos City. You're tuning into CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner, where passion is the key. Learning paves the way. With our division mantra, developing creativity, maximizing versatility. This is your CCN Broadcast Center. CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner.
Good day everyone, especially to all grade 8 learners. Welcome to another learning session here at CCN, the virtual home of all San Carlinian learners. Dahil dito sa CCN, sama-sama tayong matuto. I am Mr. Ronald Cristobal from Speaker Eugenio Perez National Agricultural School, your teacher webcaster in this session. Before I'm going to start our discussion, let me have first some reminders. Number 1, all grade 8 learners, prepare your pen, your paper, your self-learning modules in grade 8 mathematics, quarter 3, week 1. Number 2, focus. Listen attentively as we go through our discussion for you to have better understanding on this lesson. And number 3, participate. Participate by writing your answers in all of the activities later on. I guess we are all set, so let's start. Our lesson for today is about mathematics as an axiomatic system. At the end of this session, you will be able to, number 1, describe a mathematical system. Number 2, illustrate the need for an axiomatic structure of a mathematical system in general and in geometry in particular, defined terms and undefined terms. And number 3, relate the mathematical system in real-life situations. Last time, we have discussed about kind of reasoning, and there are two kinds of reasoning being used. First is inductive reasoning. The second one is deductive reasoning. For us to have a simple recall on this topic, let's have this activity. Directions. Draw a conclusion from each of the given situation and identify the kind of reasoning used. Write your answer on separate sheet of paper. But this time, we are going to write your answers at the chat box below. Feel free to write your answers, class. Let's have the first one. 5, 10, 15, 20. The next number is? Start typing your answers now. If your answer is 25, then you are correct. What kind of reasoning is being used in this item? Inductive, very good. Let's go to number 2. Coplanar points are points on the same plane. X, Y, and Z are coplanar. Therefore, what is your conclusion? Start answering by typing it in the comment box below. X, Y, and Z are on the same plane. Very good. And what kind of reasoning is this? Deductive reasoning. Excellent. Next number, number 3. A regular polygon is equilateral. Belen is a regular pentagon. Therefore, what is your conclusion? Excellent. Belen is equilateral. And what kind of reasoning is this? Deductive. Very good. Number 4. Rosel is a San Carlinian and she segregates waste properly. Timothy is a San Carlinian and he segregates waste properly. Therefore, what is your conclusion? San Carlinians segregate waste properly. What type of reasoning is this? Inductive reasoning. Very good. The last number. Filipinos are resilient. Ronseld is a Filipino. Therefore, what is your conclusion? I'll give you time to answer this. Ronseld is resilient. What kind of reasoning is this? Deductive. Very good. Axiomatic system is an introduction to geometry. So this time, it is but proper for us to define geometry. Geometry is derived from two Greek words, geo meaning earth and metren meaning to measure. Thus, when taken literally, geometry involves measuring earthly objects. Now, before we go to our discussion, please bring out with you your self-learning modules and open it to words hunt activity. And this activity will lead you to find words which are similar or which are related to our lesson this morning. So what are the words you see in that words hunt? Are you familiar with them? You are free to type your answers at the chat box below. I'm waiting for your answers. Okay, the words that you have found in that words hunt is related to our topic this morning, axiomatic system. Axiomatic system is composed of four compositions, namely undefined terms, defined terms, axioms, postulates, and theorems. But in this presentation, we're going to focus our attention on the first two compositions, which are undefined terms and defined terms. Undefined terms. In mathematical system, we come across many terms which cannot be precisely defined. In modern mathematics, we accept certain undefined terms. The choice of the undefined terms is completely arbitrary and generally to facilitate the development of structures such as point, plane, number, variable, line, and others. Let's start with point. A point is a location. It is a place. A point is not physical object. You cannot touch it, feel it, or even see it. A point has no size. A point can be represented by a dot such as point R, point T, and point C. It is used to represent using capital letters and a dot besides it. Are you following me, class? Let's move on. Line. A line is a set of points that extends infinitely in two opposite directions. Arrowheads are used to indicate that a line does not end at points where the drawing ends. And speaking of infinity, some words related to infinite are eternal, everlasting, and God's love is everlasting. So whenever you are depressed, you are discouraged, always remember God's love for you is everlasting and eternal. Whenever you see a line, remember God's love is infinite. There are two ways to name a line. First, using small letter. In our example, this is called line M. Next is through the use of 2 points on the line, which is in our case, this is line XY. Are you still with me? Very good. Next, plane. A plane is a flat surface, a set of points that extends infinitely in 2 dimensions. A plane can be drawn represented by a 4-side figure known as parallelogram. A plane can be named by a single uppercase black letter written near a corner of the plane. In this diagram, we call this as plane C. Are you following, class? Okay, let's move on to defined terms. We define the other terms of the mathematical system in terms of undefined terms, such as angle, line segment, circle, and others. Line segment. A line segment is just a part of a line. That means to say it is a subset of a line. Remember above when I said that lines are indefinite and they that keep going and going? Line segment stops somewhere in both directions. May hangganan. Tulad ng relasyon ng dalawa, hindi nga kayo umabot ng February 14. This line segment is called line segment AB. Ray. A ray is like a line, but the line takes off in one direction to infinity, while the other side is like a line segment. The end of the line is called the endpoint. The first ray is called ray XY, which has X as an endpoint. The other is called ray BA. Ray XY is different from ray YX, and ray BA is different from ray AB. We usually denote a ray using the endpoint towards the infinity. Angle. Two rays that share the same endpoint, however, the rays take off in different directions, such as ray RT, the other ray is ray RC, which has common endpoint, point R. The area in the middle of the two rays is the angle measure. The name of this angle is angle RTC. Are you still with me, class? Now, as I've said earlier, during my giving of reminders, doing this activity, you are free to comment your answer at the chat box below. Feel free to write your answers. Let's have this activity. Tell whether each of the following suggests a point, a line, or a plane. Let's have the first one. Let me do first item number 1, and then the rest of the items will be done by you. Number 1, top of a box. What does it represent? It represents a plane. It is a flat surface. Now this time, you're going to write your answers at the comment box below. Speck of dust. What does it represent? I'm waiting for your answers, class. Very good. Many are writing their answers and sending it in our channel. Speck of dust represents point. Excellent. How about the next item? Number 3, cover of a book. Again, feel free to write your answers at the comment box below. I can see many answers, and if your answer is plain, then you are correct. Number 4, tip of a pen. What does it represent? It represents, I give you time to answer that. Very good, class. It represents a point. Number 5, drop wire of Senpelco. What does it represent? You are free to comment down your answers at the chat box below. Drop wire of Senpelco represents line. Excellent. Number 6, what does edge of a table represent? I'm waiting for your answers. Very good. It represents a line. Now it's time to do the next activity, which is called illustrate it. Illustrate the following or draw the following. Use separate sheet of paper. Number 1, you're going to illustrate point B on a line M. How do we illustrate this? This is the figure. Point B, which is on the line M. That's very easy. Number 2, lines B and S intersect at point T. I'll give you time to draw this in your answer sheet. Okay, compare your answers with my diagram. If they are similar, if they are the same, then you got the correct illustration. Number 3, ray CK with endpoint C. A ray having an endpoint C. The illustration is this one. Very good. Number 4, point A in plane R. I'm waiting for you to answer this item number 4. And this diagram is the correct answer. Let's clap for ourselves. You are doing great in this discussion. Now, let's summarize our learning this time. In this session, we have learned about undefined terms, which are point, it represented by a dot. Number 2, line, it extends infinitely in two opposite directions. Number 3, plane, it is a flat surface. These are called undefined terms. In your answer sheet, you're going to define in your own words what are the meaning of point, line, plane, which belong to undefined terms. We have discussed also about defined terms, which are line segment. It has two endpoints. It does not extend infinitely towards opposite direction. Number 2, ray. It has only one endpoint. Number 3, angle. It is a figure formed by two rays having common endpoint which not belong to the same line. Again, in your answer sheet, you're going to have your own definition of line segment, ray, and angle. I think you are now ready for our application to our real-life application. To function effectively in the three-dimensional world, one should have a knowledge of geometric concepts of points, line, and planes, their relationships, their basic properties. Knowing this would lead to a better understanding of plane surfaces and their areas, solids and their volumes. Now, let's connect this lesson about undefined terms and defined terms to other learning areas, specifically biology. In your subject biology, you have studied about parts of human body. Now, the question is, what part of your body suggests the idea of a point? Feel free to type your answers at the comment box below. The technical team will see your answers, and I'll be checking that later on after our live session. Again, what part of your body suggests the idea of a point? Let me give you an example. Mole, pimples are parts of the body that represents the idea of a point. I can see many answers right now during our live discussion. And thank you for your active participation. Let's clap for ourselves. Now this time, what are the parts of your body that suggest the idea of a line? Let me give you an example. Arm. Now it's time for you to give also your answers by typing it down below at the chat box. Very good. Thank you for your active participation. Now this time, what about the idea which represents a plane? What part of your body suggests the idea of a plane? Example, our face, because it is a flat surface, suggests the idea of a plane. Now it's time for you to write your answers. Comment down below. Again, thank you for your active participation. You are doing a great job. Let's clap for ourselves. Now let's relate our discussion to our real-life situation. Looking around you, what are the things you see that represent a point? What are the things you see in your environment represent a point? Feel free to write your answers at the chat box below. I'm waiting for your answers. Thank you for answering this question. Those who are giving their answers, congratulations, you are doing a great job. Okay, so how about a line? What are the things that surrounds you in your surroundings that represents a line? Example, edge of a table. How about you? Feel free to write your answers at the chat box below. And lastly, looking around you, what are the things you see that represents a plane? Example, wall of your room, cemented playground, cemented basketball court. Now it's time for you to give also your answers. Thank you for those answers, and congratulations everyone. Now I think you are now knowledgeable about our lesson. You have understood our topic about undefined terms and defined terms. So this time, it is time to evaluate our learnings by answering this assessment. Are you now ready? Get ready with your answer sheet, and also feel free to write down your answers in each of the question. Directions. Read carefully each question and choose the letter of the correct answer. Let's go to number 1. An axiomatic system is composed of blank. A. Undefined terms. B. Axiom and postulates. Letter C. Theorems. Letter D. All of the above. I'll give you time to answer. The answer is letter D. Correct. Very good. Number 2. Two rays that share a common endpoint is called blank. A. Line. B. Angle. C. Plane. D. Point. And the answer is? What's your answer, class? If your answer is letter B, then you got the correct answer. Excellent. Number 3, it is a set of points that extends infinitely in 2 dimensions. Letter A, point. B, line. C, plane. D, angle. And your answer is letter B. Very good. Next, number 4. Which of the following objects represents points? A, stars in the sky. B, pencil. C, screen of a television. D, edges of a board. Your answer, please. If your answer is letter A, then you got the correct answer. Very good, class. You're doing great. Number 5. It is a part of a line that has 2 endpoints. Letter A, ray. Letter B, line segment. Letter C, point. Letter D, angle. I'll give you time to answer this. And if your answer is letter B, then you got the correct answer. Very good. That ends our lesson, class. I hope you enjoy our learnings, and it was indeed a fun experience and great experience for me. Again, this is Mr. Ronald T. Cristobal from SEPNAS saying, I love math, you love math, we love math. Until then, goodbye.
Good day, Philippines. Hello, Region 1. Aloha, San Carlinian learners. Airing live from the mango bamboo capital of the Philippines, San Carlos City. You're tuning in to CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner, where passion is the key. Learning paves the way. With our division mantra, developing creativity, maximizing versatility. This is your CCN Broadcast Center. CCN Broadcast Center, a virtual home of every SDO-SEC learner.